what I want to do right now is bring on John. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sort of basically interviewing him, asking him specific questions in terms of how is he doing this? How is he applying the training? How is he applying what he's learned? How is he doing these seven-figure deals? And so hopefully all of us can learn from this, because it's great to have me talking about how I do seven-figure deals, but it's even great when there's someone in the group who's been trained and certified and can actually proves to everyone that you can actually go out and do this. So let's bring on John. And John right now is you're in Malaysia right now, John, right?
That's right, Sohail. I'm just kind of doing stuff on a JV deal, a kind of slightly more complicated one. That kind of the reward is less, is not money, it's more education for me. So that's why I'm out here at the moment.
Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. I've got a couple of questions lined up for you, and then what we'll hopefully also do, we've got a lot of people on the call today, and if it's okay with you, if we can maybe if they've got any questions for us, are you happy to answer any questions at the end?
Oh, of course, if I can.
Okay, cool. All right, so most of everyone in the group already know who you are, John, and what you've done. And obviously, you came on the program a few months ago, and your progress has been amazing. I've been watching your progress, and I think from the first day we met, both yourself and Mary, I knew that you guys would progress very, very quickly, because not only the vision that you guys had, I think some of the background experience that you have has really, really helped you. So, can you just start off by telling me a bit about your background?
We came across you, Sohail, when we went to something different altogether. That was something we were looking at, was doing some authoring work, some writing, and you popped up in the middle of this this weekend conference, and you talked about JVing, and that's what both of us got hooked on, and the rest is history, as they say. We followed the word of Sohail.
Yeah, and it was excellent. I mean, the great thing with this program that everyone here is on is, everyone's hand selected. So there's a reason for everyone being on the program. I saw potential, or in each of you. So this is one of the reasons why each of you are actually on this program. So same with John, same with Mary. When we spoke and we did a strategy session, it was like, wow, I really want to have you guys on board. Onto the program. So apart from me talking about my story and about how you can become successful as a joint venture broker, why did you decide to come onto my joint venture brokering program?
There's a few things that we like to do. Is we're very good into research. We're very big into relational capital. Sort of meeting people. We're big into results. But the one thing we before we had our strategy session with you, Sohail, was we're very much offline people. We're really not into the online setup at all, and we had no contact lists. The best we could muster up would be kind of a friend's contact list, but that sort of didn't really count in relation to what I was hearing. So we chatted about that with you, and your assurances that it didn't really matter, was up to the individual, not to anything else, really hit home with us, and really your focus on the detail, the research, the how to deal with people, not just to see people as potential money earners, but to see people for what they are. That you may do business with them, but it shouldn't necessarily be the primary reason you go into any relationship with people. Obviously, you'll have a business idea in your head of some sort, which you feel they will be able to both benefit from and benefit you from. But if you go purely for the money side, that's not us. We wouldn't be able to do it if that was us. And really, everything you said to us has proven to be the case. Most of all being get confidence and just go out there and do it.
And I agree. And I think one of the biggest things why you guys have been really successful is I never hear from you guys things like, when will I start making money, or how much money will I make. That potential is always up to the individual. One of the things that I have always taught and I've always stuck to is building the relationships. And I remember, when we first spoke, you first started on the program. It was like walking away from the program was like, look, I've got a couple of ideas and I've got a couple of deals that this could really work with. And things take time. It probably took a couple of months to close probably your first 7-figure deal. And I think relationships is one of the biggest things that I've seen you guys do really well with. Let me ask you, what was the biggest thing that you took away from the program? Just, everyone on this call has been through the program, and what is the biggest thing that you took away with you that you're currently now using to do these deals?
I think it's concentrating on, excuse me, concentrating on the fact that there's value in everything you can do, that you don't get just value for yourself, but you can bring value to others, and that everybody can gain from a relationship, and not just a one-off gain, but gains that will keep on going, and relationships that will keep on going. Because there's no doubt, the way you explained it to us, we kind of thought, well, there's no reason why, if you do it correctly and you're genuine about what you do, that you won't have the same people, you won't be working with the same people many times over down the years. And that both lessens your job of looking for people you can trust, because it's a two-way thing. You have to trust them and they have to be able to trust you. But the work is done in the first deal for many more deals down the road, as well as them introducing you to others, and that's happened to us a number of times. In fact, our main plan, and I think you said it, Sohail, was that you tended to do your deals in more or less one half of the year, and then do other things or whatever you wanted to do at the other times. And that's the model we set up for ourselves. And having people coming to you with deals means that we can do that much more easily. We'd spend less time on research, unless it's research with the new partners. And they're the big things really for us.
And I agree. It's like I always say to people, it's hands down, I would always choose lifestyle over the money. So for me, it's like I would only work with, let's say, 4 or 5 clients a year. Even if I did my deals in the first part of the year and I hit my targets, doesn't necessarily mean that I want to continue doing that for the rest of the year. Take time off to enjoy other things, and I have investments in other companies which I'm working on. So this is a real flexible approach for me, and it works really, really well. Okay, so before we go into, and I guess everyone on the call really wants to find out exactly how how you're doing these deals. Before we go into explaining and going through these 2 big deals that you've done, and even talking about some of the bigger ones that you have in the pipeline, tell me first of all, how are you going out finding these deals?
I guess after your course, Sohail, the first thing we really knuckled down to was research. And we did pretty much, what would I say, pretty much nothing else but research for the first probably 3 months. And by research, I mean we started to put the fact out there amongst just friends and even people with whom we had even the vaguest business association, and saying to them, listen, this is what we're doing. We are looking for our model effectively was to be working offline, but to be working with products that were absolute quality and pretty much innovative. So that could both be startups, but primarily it would be companies who are already established, no matter what size, who had products that they just weren't getting out there because they weren't using the right techniques. So we kind of said to them, effectively what we would be is almost mobile salespeople. You get you have a one-off charge that we tell you what it is, but we'll travel anywhere. We love traveling. So we said from our JV point of view, when we're doing JVing, we want to do as many of the things we like doing as possible. So traveling, meeting others, educating ourselves with others, and doing the research. If we can combine all those together, then we've got a good model to work with. So we basically started phoning people. And just to give an example of how it works, we kind of have this feeling, and this I cannot explain other than it's just within us, that if we know there's a good product, we know that we will find someone to joint venture with, in whatever it takes, whoever it is, but we'll find them. So, for example, in an automotive one that we're working on, a fantastic connection came through there, about 2 connections away from our original connection, and our original connection was a guy who we did some property stuff with, or real estate with in the past, with no known connection to us, or known to us, to the automotive industry. He, 2 contacts away from him, produced a most fabulous contact for us that we're still, we'll be dealing with quite a long way down. He's Scottish. So it's really, from our point of view, we'll phone people. We'll just pick up the phone, and if we have something to say that has even the slightest hope of piquing their interest, we'll say it and see how it goes. That way we get feedback. If somebody isn't interested, we find out why they're not interested. Is it because of what we've said, how we've said it? We tape ourselves when we make these phone calls so that we can play it back. And sometimes, especially at the beginning, we thought, oh my God, you'd be embarrassed. Well, we'd be embarrassed of what we said. And but having said that, you almost, if you allow yourself the luxury of being embarrassed or making mistakes and just put it down to, hey, it's all part of the deal, suddenly after a few times the whole thing becomes so much easier. So our primary thing is telephone. If the telephone leads to something, we say, listen, how about a cup of coffee? And sometimes they say, but you're in Ireland, we say, listen, we'll travel over. If our research has suggested this person is a potentially very valuable person, and if our conversation with them suggests to us that they are people we could do business with, then we wouldn't hesitate to pop over, have a cup of coffee, take in a weekend, whatever it is. Just go out and do something. It's all about the energy of doing.
And as you know, that was one of the first big deals that I did. I just, for me, when I had my business, I literally jumped on a plane to go and do one of my first licensing deals. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's very important to do that. Taking action, I think, is the biggest thing, and also the repetition. I did the same thing. I used to, I still do it nowadays. I still record my conversations just to listen to what I'm saying and how to gauge how I'm, interacting with people. So it is very, very important. So that's interesting. So tell me, how are you when you're talking to people, okay, and you're seeing opportunities? How are you guys? And research is a big thing, because I've always said that to everyone, that you've got to spend your time doing the research, because if you want to do these sort of big deals, it takes a bit of time, and you have to get everything in place. So how are you going about analyzing deals? I mean, how are you gauging them and thinking, okay, this is a potential deal, and let me after I've had a conversation with this potential JV partner, how are you analyzing these deals?
Well, basically, I suppose the start is to see, because we're more into products, essentially. So our first thing, when we come across a product that we like, we would research first to see, well, how new is it, or what's the new slant on that this product has that isn't currently in the market. Then it really is, who are the people behind this product? what's the market for it. It's almost, we approach it as if we were going to invest in this company. And because we feel really that if we're going to be involved in the JVing, we have to be spot on in delivering the knowledge to the other JV partner that we're going to try and team up with. So we take the view, right, that we are investing in this product, we're investing our time in it, and we're investing our reputation in it. We would find why did they decide, say if it's a piece of software, why did they decide on this approach? What are they improving in the marketplace? And depending on the answers you get and how you get them, by which I mean when we would go and meet these people who are, say, producing a product, we would not just listen to them, but kind of watch their body language to see are they confident in what they're saying? Are they just into sales talk? Are they really behind it? And we usually try and get, say, for software, we try and get people who are more techie people, because they don't do the sales pitch, they do the genuine information. They tell us what we will be able to pass on to a JV partner. Once we're satisfied that the people behind it are genuine, we would then say to them, well, right, where do you see the market for this? And taking that information, we then go away, start doing our research on the market that they're talking about, make phone calls, and usually what we would find is we might talk to, we could talk to up to 60, 70 people to lead to the person who is going to do the deal.
So that's good. That brings me on to the next question. How are you guys when you're spotting these opportunities, these deals? You're meeting with potential JV partners. You're talking about what opportunities there are. How are you then closing these deals? I mean, because you've closed some pretty big deals so far, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. How are you guys going about sort of actually getting them to agree and closing the deal? And getting paid and etc.
Yeah, well, the trust element is a big thing for us for starters. That to have everybody operating, I suppose, to get over that hump, the initial hump of, well, we're all getting to know each other. To shorten that period as much as possible, we say to people from the outset what our fee is. We say that we expect to operate all monies through escrow accounts. So we do it slightly more expensively in that we say we will have a lawyer or a firm of lawyers agreeable to both sides, where monies that are owing to us will be put into escrow. And then it's a question of how that's going to be doled out, whether it's as one sum or whether it's in stages then throughout the following whatever number of months it is. What we've found is once you introduce an escrow and lawyers into it, that says to people that you have a setup, you have a system in place that is there to protect monies as much as possible. And really, if you can't trust the escrow system, well, there's not much else you can trust. But then any investment or any money that's going into the deal between the sides will tend to go through the escrow as well, because that's where we feel everyone can have greatest control over it.
And I agree. When you're doing these sort of big deals, then having a proper system in place definitely does help. So okay, so good. So that brings us on to the most important thing. Tell us a bit about some of these seven-figure deals that you guys have closed, and just give us an insight into how it came about, how you closed the deals, and just give us some sort of steps of the process that you took to actually get these big deals done.
Sure. Well, as I was sort of saying earlier, we do a lot of research, and we tend to try and go to places where maybe there are events on or there are trade shows on, and we don't necessarily go to the trade shows every time because they just might be so big that the market is almost too large. But we mingle around in the hotel that's beside, say, the conference center or the trade show place, and we the reason I say that is because we came across we saw that there was one such event on in Dublin here in Ireland, and we said, right, well, we'll go along we'll stay for the weekend in Dublin, and we'll see what we can do as regards a deal here through mingling around in the hotel lobby. A bit like what you did with us, Sohail, except this time I was better at it instead of talking mumbo jumbo. What was on in particular was a software kind of exhibition, and it was people sort of saying what they were doing with various things, and one guy came up with this automotive idea, and we just we actually overheard them, and we kind of ambled over because we were involved with an automotive thing at the time, and we said to them, well, what's the software you're doing? It sounds quite interesting. And they were only too keen to talk about it and seemed like nice guys. And anyway, took away their card, looked up the company, saw that they were already an established company. So they had money behind them clearly, but not they didn't have a great connection with kind of selling themselves. So we looked up to see what they were doing, met them again, and they mentioned that the software had a particular application in automotive manufacture, which isn't anything we're into, but that they basically specified the improvements which the software could do. So we rang up some of the, we targeted one manufacturer, and before we got on to them, we rang a number of their competitors to see what was the major problem with software in the particular application that these guys were aiming at. And we came up with several answers so that we felt at this stage we had enough information to get going to the main company. And the actual application involves the robotics, those robots that put all the pieces together. And I won't even try and go into the detail because I don't understand it. But I went on to LinkedIn, and I looked up some automotive people, got in touch with them. Some of them were happy enough to talk. They gave me more connections. Ultimately, a connection came up in the company we were looking for, which is really what we were aiming at. And I could make the introduction of myself through saying so-and-so gave me your name and thought you'd be a good person to speak to, which I feel that first line is always the line which is the most difficult. Once you have somebody recommending you, and I suppose you can build up the recommendation a bit, you have an in, and I got a reply, and from there really what we did was, well, they were in the States. What we did was we were traveling to LA a couple of weeks later, and we were going via Philadelphia, so we took a longer connection at Philadelphia and went out to see these guys, and they thought, and we didn't disabuse them of the fact that we'd come over especially to see them. So we from there really the relationship was built. We worked the two sides together. They loved the software. I had a manual of basic features of the software made up by the company back in Ireland. I brought it with me. They basically loved what they saw, and really after that it was very easy. That was the most difficult part. In fact, that's usually the most difficult part. With Microsoft, it was a very similar thing. It was a company who, the kind of supplier company, if you like, they had a system of low energy lighting and so on. And again, it was through sorting out what exactly they did, what was a bit different about them, and then getting on LinkedIn and going into the European headquarters is in Dublin. So I went in there, got contacts in there. Didn't really want the deal in Ireland because it's not that big, but we decided we were going to go and get America. So I went into the Irish one. They sent me from pillar to post, but if you keep going along enough, you'll wear somebody down. Got to talk to a guy who was into procurement, and he said, oh yeah, he was just after coming off the phone to the procurement guy over in the States, and he'd send over the name to him, my name to him. As it happened, the guy who was in the States was leaving a week later, but his replacement got in touch with me instead. I'm not sure if she got in touch with me by accident, that she just thought I was on the list of great contacts of Microsoft, but I didn't stop to think about it. So again, we had some emails back and forth, and then I just said, listen, I'd love to go over and show you this. And the relationship was just about up enough that she said, come on over, and then she subsequently paid for us to come over ourselves later on, again, more or less when the deal was done. We find that people are very, very nice once you're nice to them and treat them with respect. And that's how we did it, really. Again, it was going through LinkedIn, it was going into the offices, not being prepared to give up or be embarrassed by maybe how you were pitching it or whatever it was, but just keeping on going, and eventually you find the right person.
Like I say, I think you're right. It's all about a win-win. If you go into a deal or if you go into a partnership just thinking about yourself, then that definitely shows through. If you're going into a partnership and also thinking about how you can help the other side, and they like that and they like you, it's true what they say. You know, people like doing business with people they like. So, could you give us a rough estimation on the figures for each of these two deals? And also what you guys are going to be making, or what you guys have made from these two deals.
What on the automotive, we're doing a $1.3 million dollar deal, which what we basically say is our fee is 15%. And if they don't like that, we don't really beg them. We just say that's it. It's a clean thing. Either because from our point of view is we are bringing them a fantastic product. We believe it, and we know it is. It's not just sort of sales talk, but that they are going to make a lot more than 15% a 15% fee down the road out of this. And for people who know what they're talking about, they also know they're going to make a lot more money than the 15%. In fact, we would find that the bigger companies balk less at worrying about the fee if they believe in what you're giving them.
That's just phase one, right? There is another phase. So this is just for the first phase for this deal that you've closed with the one in America. Tell us more about that one.
That's what that's doing is it's again it's 15%. We kind of don't like complication, so we have to do well. Certainly for the time being, we want to just have a system that we don't have to think about. We kind of say, well, it's 15%. If you don't like it, you don't get the product, and that's up to you. If you don't think it's good enough, well, so be it.
You round it off, it's more or less $1 million, right?
Well, by the time it'll probably be over, actually, because they're looking to expand it to their Middle East setup.
Wow. Wow. And,
And
and, and, and that's the great thing with these big companies. Once you have one deal going and it's working in that region, when they roll it out, that's when you start making the really, really big dollars. Okay, so right now you're in Malaysia working on another deal. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and tell us a bit about some of the other deals that you have in the pipeline?
yeah, this is what I love about the JV. Once you get over the feeling of that I have to make money from this, really the world's your oyster. You can take any reward you want from the JV deal. So the reason for this deal is it's a new startup company, so they don't have much money, but we really like the product. And what we said was, listen, there are two things here. We'd like to be involved with this product, but also we really want to be involved. We want to educate ourselves in building up a company from scratch, because we've never done that, and this is a perfect opportunity to do so. And what we'll get in return, as well as the education, is we'll take shares on the company. So from their point of view, that was perfect, and from our point of view, it was also perfect, and no money was passing hands at that stage. Now, what we did then was we said, okay, let's go off and do let's do our research, and this is pretty much where we came across the automotive guy. And bearing in mind, it's an automotive product, as I can't remember if I said, but I have absolutely no automotive experience. I can barely lift the boot of the car, and but it was. I had this feeling that I was going to find somebody, and it only took about I'd say less than 20 phone calls before I got a contact who has a massive contact base, and who is I've met him now a number of times for coffee and for lunch, various things. He's in Scotland, and that's a contact for life, as far as I'm concerned, and a friend for life. But so what we're doing, the product is developing, and what I'm doing out in Malaysia is I'm with the manufacturer, because we sourced a distribution channel via that contact, who also had a Malaysian manufacturer of the type of product the distribution channel guy is currently selling. So what we're doing out in Malaysia is just overseeing the final stages of the commercial prototype. And once that's ready in the first few weeks of April, we then will test it. And we've already been in contact with a number of big supermarket distribution chains who are interested in putting it on their home delivery vehicles. And we're also looking at taxis and so on. And so from our point of view, we're learning how exactly to get from product idea right up to distribution out to the market, and we haven't taken any money from that. We fully expect to get money in the end somewhere down the line. If we don't, that's the risk of investment. We will have still benefited hugely, and we won't consider that we've lost out.
Wow, wow. Well, so all I can say is wow. And also, what great internet connection we have over there in Malaysia. It's phenomenal. That's a place that I've been to a few times, and it's such an amazing place to do business. And how long are you there for? How many more weeks are you in Malaysia?
I'll probably be here for another 3 to 4.
Okay, I have a few really well-known marketers based out there, so I will see if I can connect you with some of those guys. They're doing some phenomenal stuff, so that's really great. My final question is basically for everyone on this call, and that is, what advice can you give to others in this group to do the same as you've done? I mean, obviously people know my story, they know what I do. I'm a bit crazy sometimes. I just go out and do stuff. I guess that's a lot to do with my my journey in terms of, you know, where I've come from and what I've experienced. But, you know, someone like yourself, you know, coming into this new over the last couple of months and already doing a few big deals. What advice would you have for everyone in the group to really give them that kick and say, look, guys, this is what you should be doing, and this is how to really go out and do these big deals?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say, and I would have to say that I started from probably as, what would I say, as not weak, but I'm not a flashy individual. I'm not a super online person. I'm not anything in particular. But I just decided that I was really going to go at this, and I just made that decision, and Mary made that decision, and I guess it's good to have two people doing it, because one keeps the other going, and it becomes habit after a while. But that's probably the first big thing, is just to decide I'm going to do something with this. Now, if the next thing to decide is, well, forget about making a fool of myself, forget about doing things wrong, forget about failing, whatever it is, it actually is all part of the fun. And when I consider now basic things, like being maybe walking past the door because I wouldn't go in to ask somebody something in case I sounded like a complete idiot. It seems such a long time ago now. And now I kind of say, well, sure, if I make myself an idiot, what will I learn from that idiocy? And it's amazing how your attitude to it completely changes. Almost being an idiot becomes a good thing. And the other thing I'd say is, just ask yourself, what do you like doing? For us, we kind of said, we like researching because it's kind of educational. We love meeting people. We're not great on small talk. We've kind of found we run out of small talk pretty quickly, and when there's no purpose to it. But when your small talk is about big things, suddenly you're energized, and the other person is energized. And I don't know if other people get this feeling, but when you talk about something you're passionate about, you can feel the energy from within, and you know that what you're saying is coming across as you're feeling it, as opposed to pretending that you're being very genuine or you're very, very this or that, when you know that really, no, you're being a bit false. It's being genuine with people and listening to them, and also watching their body language. And one big thing for us that we do is we do a lot of visualization of ourselves. So if, for example, I'm going to go into a person and go into his office, I visualize myself sitting behind the desk and me coming in to see me. And how am I walking? How am I carrying myself? Am I looking friendly? Am I looking nervous? Am I looking whatever it is? Am I fidgeting? And it's amazing what that gives you about yourself. It's almost that you're looking in a mirror, and you're studying yourself and seeing, well, what's wrong here? Why is my body language like that? And likewise, you're more alert to other people's body language, why they're fidgeting, etc. And listening is a huge thing. A lot of people can pretend to listen, but they're not listening. You can see their face is not the expression of truly listening. It's glazed. It's waiting for their next question. And finally, we would just focus on the results that we aim to get. If we don't get them, we sort of ask ourselves, why do we think we didn't get them? What could we improve? Did we do something different this time that didn't get a result to the last time that did get a result? And that constant sort of going back over yourself, it becomes habit after a while and quite enjoyable, and you become comfortable with it. It's not so comfortable at the start when you think that, gosh, will I ever get anywhere with this?
I think also, because you're playing a bigger game, you've been very, very lucky. I mean, in terms of over the last sort of a couple of months since you've been finished the program, it seems that for you it really hasn't been a big numbers game. That's because you've aimed at a bigger market, and the bigger the market, I think, the more quality and the more less people you deal with who are time wasters. So you guys have been very fortunate that you've met the right people, seen the right products, researched the companies to say, you know what, these are legit companies, they have money behind them, all they need is someone to go in and help them construct these deals. So I think that's really, really helped you guys by doing some of these phenomenal big deals in such a short space of time. So, all I can say is I'm so proud because, when I first started this program, one of my headlines was, become a 6 or 7 figure, joint venture broker and have that sort of lucrative lifestyle. And you are the epitome of that, because I say to people that, you can go and travel, you can have the lifestyle, and you can also, do 7 figures, using, these skills. So, I'm really, I'm really proud of the fact, and I'm looking forward to more people in the group stepping up and doing some of these big deals. Some people in the group I've been speaking to, there are the potential. They're very close to doing these sort of deals. So once the deals, I always say to people that it's persistence. Just keep at it, crack it, because eventually it will happen. So so John, thank you very much for coming on this call today. I really am glad you've taken time out of your busy schedule, especially being over in Malaysia, just to talk about what is possible and how you've used the program to actually do some 7-figure deals. I really thank you for that.